One sunny day, the fat controller came to Tinmouth Sheds. He had some bad news. Percy is unwell today, so I've sent him to the works to be mended. I need all of you to help out while Percy is away. Emily, you are to take care of Percy's passengers.
Yes, sir,
said Emily. Henry, you will take care of Percy's goods trains. Yes, sir, said Henry. And Edward, you have got the most important job of all. I need you to look after Percy's post train. Yes, sir, said Edward. But Edward had never pulled a post train before. He was worried. Make sure you get all the parcels delivered on time today, Edward. Today is one of Percy's big deliveries. And the fat controller left. But Edward was worried. I've never pulled the post train before, said Edward.
Don't worry,
said Emily.
You'll be fine.
Maybe I should go and ask Percy what to do.
He knows everything,
said Edward. Rubbish, said Henry. You are an experienced engine. Experienced engines don't ask for help.
Don't be silly,
said Emily.
Edward doesn't know what to do. Don't pay attention to it, Edward. You'll be fine.
Edward thought about this, but wasn't sure. Edward puffed on his way to the post depot.
I hope I can get the post deliveries right,
thought Edward.
I don't want to let Percy down.
Edward arrived at the post depot where Billy had shunted the post trucks. The station master was waiting. You have a very big delivery today, he said. You are to deliver some posts to Farmer McCall, some for the school, and some for the children's party at Mayfreight. Please be on time, Edward. I'll try, said Edward, and Edward puffed away with the deliveries. Edward wasn't sure where to go first. I know, I'll go to the children's party. That's the most important. So Edward raced over to Mayfreight station. But Edward didn't know that Percy delivered the parcels in a special order. He dropped the wrong parcels at the station. Then he raced through the countryside towards the school. He dropped off some parcels at the platform and raced away. Then he delivered the rest of the parcels to Farmer McColl's, but Farmer McColl was puzzled. They're the wrong parcels, he called, but Edward didn't hear him.
Hooray!
Smiled Edward.
I delivered all the parcels on time. Now I'm sure the fat controller will be pleased with me.
But he was wrong. The fat controller was getting lots of phone calls. When he heard the news, he was very cross. Edward puffed into Knapford station for a rest. But the fat controller was waiting. He was very cross. Edward, you have delivered all the parcels to the wrong places. I've had phone calls from Farmer McCall, the school, and the station master from Mayfreight. Go back and redeliver the parcels again. Yes, sir, said Edward. He was sad and very worried. Emily was nearby. She was waiting for Neville. She saw Edward.
If you don't know what to do, Edward, go and ask Percy for help.
But Edward still remembered what Henry had said. Experienced engines don't ask for help, he said to himself. So Edward recollected the post trucks and went back to collect the parcels. He collected the parcels from the children's party, then puffed back to the school. When the parcels were loaded into the trucks, Edward set off again for Farmer McColl's farm.
I don't understand,
said Edward as he puffed along.
Where did I go wrong?
Edward thought and thought hard to think where to go first this time. But he knew before he could do that he had to collect the parcels from Farmer McColl. Soon after Edward had left Farmer McColl's, he arrived at a junction. But Edward was so concerned he wasn't thinking straight. and he raced off again without asking the signalman. "Stop!" he cried. "That track is closed!" But Edward didn't hear him, and Edward raced down the wrong track. When he saw the barrier, he applied his brakes, but it was too late. The parcels flew into the air and all over the tracks. "Oh no," said Edward. When the Fat Controller heard the news, he raced over to Edward. "Edward, what is going on? You are very late and no one has got their parcels yet." Edward felt sad. He knew this mess was all his fault. "I'm sorry, sir," said Edward. "Do you not know how to deliver the post?" asked the Fat Controller. "No, sir," said Edward. "I don't know what to do." "Well then, Edward, go straight to the workstation and ask Percy immediately." "Yes, sir," said Edward sadly. And Edward set off all the way to the workstation. He felt very sad. When Edward arrived at the workstation, he saw Percy was very happy. Percy was very happy to see Edward. "Percy," said Edward, "I need your help. Please, can you tell me how to deliver the post train?" "Of course I will," smiled Percy. "Listen very carefully. You need to start with the destination that is furthest away. Then work your way back to Tidmouth Sheds." "Thank you, Percy," said Edward. "If you didn't know what to do, Edward," said Percy, "why didn't you ask me earlier?" Edward told Percy what Henry had said about experienced engines not asking for help. Percy laughed. "Edward," he smiled, "I may be a little engine, but even I have to ask for help. Gordon may be experienced at pulling the express, but even he has to ask for help at some things. It doesn't matter if you're experienced or not, you can still always ask for help." "So I had no reason to be afraid of pulling the post train after all," said Edward. "Of course not," said Percy. "Now go and deliver the post train and make everyone else happy again." "Right away, Percy," smiled Edward. And Edward raced away to deliver the post train. Now he knew exactly what to do. The children's party at Mayfair got the right parcels. The children were delighted to see all the parcels. Farmer Cole was very pleased to get his parcels. They were the right ones this time. Edward was very happy. All the parcels were delivered on time and he felt much better. "I did it," smiled Edward. Edward felt very happy indeed. He felt very pleased to be a really useful engine again, and he had learnt that even though he was an experienced engine, he could still ask for help if he wasn't sure what to do ever again.